Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Great Convos, where we always say, whether you agree or disagree, you can always find great convos. Well, you see that it's only one person here, and that's me, Roger Caesar. Thank you for being here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate it. Now, Alex is going to come in momentarily. He's having a bit of trouble with his technology. But today is going to be a special day. I want to start off by literally saying, first of all, thank you to all of our loyal listeners. Please, wherever you are, put it in the chat. Let us know. Say hello. We'd love to hear from you. This is going to be an interesting conversation today between Alex and myself. But before we even get started with that, I want to just talk about how this weekend went. I was lucky enough to visit, and I won't even say lucky, I was honored and had the privilege of visiting District 77 this weekend. Shout out to Price Polonese, to Anson Munnings, and of course, Susan. Oh, Susan Vanetta. There we go. That's the district trio there. Thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of your district spring conference, along with past international president Matt Kinsey, who is a good friend of mine as well. Both of us were on the stage. We had a great time speaking there. I got to tell you, District 77, one of the loudest and most enthusiastic districts I have ever been a part of or been able to go and visit. I absolutely had a wonderful time. Shout out to all the members there as well. But today is going to be a conversation where we are going to be talking about the Canadian election and the two speakers, the two different candidates that were up for being the Prime Minister of Canada. We're talking about, I just see him trying to get in here. Is he going to get in? Let's see if Alex will get in. But we're going to be discussing it not from the perspective of who we agreed with. And I want to put that in the chat right now. I want to make sure that, or tell everybody right now, that this is not a conversation that Alex and I are going to have with regards to who we agree with or don't agree with. It looks like he's coming in. What we are going to be talking about is strictly from the speaking perspective. Hello, Alex. What's happening? You made it. I had to hold it down for you. I had to hold it down until you got here.
Thank you for holding it.
But, I was just saying to everyone that we are going to be talking about the political race, the speeches from the perspective of what we saw as speakers, almost like an evaluation that we will be doing, and the things that we were impressed with regards to their speeches, both in victory and conceding.
Right. Now,
well, Alex, before we get started,
yeah,
we know that you had a bit of problems getting in here, but how was your weekend?
Oh, weekend was great. So, as you went to a district conference in a different country, in Florida, I was at the district conference of our home district, District 123. I had fun. I was the chief judge for 3 contests, including the international speech contest. And I must say, I took it seriously. I wanted to make sure that the judges were well informed, well trained to do the job correctly, adequately, and I'm very happy at the results. We got 3 winners who made it very well, and the winner who's going to the quarterfinals is Diren Dantara Narad. Yeah, sorry, Diren.
I know that there are 6.
There are 6 things in your name, but I didn't get it.
Can I say something real quickly, Alex? You're a little choppy right now, and I made a mistake. I want to correct something. I apologize. I said District 77, which I was at last week. It was actually District 47 this week. So I want to apologize. That's who I was. There's where I was this weekend, in District 47. So thank you very much, AJ, for correcting me on that. Yes, I was there last week in 77. This week it was 47. But go ahead, Alex.
All right. So I hope that if I'm choppy, it's not too much and you can still understand.
we can understand. It's just a little bit choppy.
All right, so we'll hope that it goes better. We'll these technical difficulties, we were trying to fix them before we got online, and unfortunately, then the camera wasn't working. So we'll try to adjust as we go along. I'm adjusting my video right here. Is that going to do any good?
Alex, you know what's funny? I'll say this. It's amazing because this is what happens when we're live. And I really appreciate our listeners because they know sometimes things happen, but you just got to go with the flow. So fix your mic. Let's get it correct and try to get it to the level that we are used to from you.
That's right. And on your end, if you can reduce the gain just another notch, we'll see if that
All
can
right. No problem. There we go.
do any good. All right. I clicked on a button. I'm not sure if it's going
We
to
still
do
can't
anything.
hear you, Alex. You're low.
All right. I adjusted it, and now I'm using this one. Yeah. Is this any better?
It's still low. It's still low right now.
All right.
But you were at District 123's contest this weekend, and you had a lot to do, especially as the chief judge for 3 contests. You said I missed being there. Shout out to District 123, my district, our district. I would have loved to be there, but I was in sunny Florida enjoying the hot sun. And
Oh, poor you. All right. Well, have you told the people what are our titles today?
no, I did not. And I am the delivery guy, and you, my friend.
I am, depending on how you read it, I'm either the content guy or the content guy. You decide. Roger, shall we go right into some content of one of our speakers?
Yeah, I want to. So before you got on, I was just trying to let people know exactly what it is that we are doing today. So why don't you let them know who were the 2 for those who may not know who were running for prime minister? Let them know.
Well, interestingly enough, this past Canadian election was perhaps one of the most widely known throughout the world because of the current political climate. Now, we have 5 different political parties represented in Parliament. We are going to touch on the 2 main political parties: the party who won, the Liberal Party, and the party who came in second, or was the runner-up, the Conservative Party. The leaders of both parties are Mark Carney for the Liberals, he's now the Prime Minister, and Pierre Poilievre for the Conservatives, who is now the chief of the opposition. Shall we start with Poilievre or with Carney?
Start with Carney, as he was the victor.
He went last in the evening. It was it almost 2 a.m. when he took the stage? It took a long time to count to make sure of who had won and by how much. So let's look at.
Bonsoir. Oh.
Let's look at. These are some selected clips. He spoke for 20 minutes total. We've selected about 3 minutes of clips right here. Shall we just go ahead and then we'll comment, okay?
Yeah, we'll comment. Just stop it every once in a while.
Quel bonsoir. C'est un bon bonsoir. I have a question. Who's ready? Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me? And who's ready? Who's ready to build Canada strong? Okay, we got that settled.
Now, I want to stop right there, Alex. I want to stop right there because, again, I want to be sure that our listeners, and we know that we have listeners from all over the world who listen to us. This is, again, please remember that we are not talking specifically about who we thought was better in terms of their policies. We're just talking about it from the speaking. I found that this didn't open up strong. Like I was expecting, as the winner, that he would come out with more of a robust start to his speech. How about
Well,
you?
it was somewhat robust. Who's ready? He's getting the crowd pumped up. Who's ready for this? Yay! Who's ready? Yeah, yay!
Mhm.
All right. Well, now that that's settled, now let me be serious. It
Yeah,
you're already tempering it down. So I think we agree on
yeah.
that. So, and this, I mean, Roger, you're an expert at pumping up the crowd, but you once they are pumped up, you keep them pumped instead of doing what Carney did right there.
Mhm.
We could mention that Carney is not a seasoned politician, which is sometimes a good thing in politics.
Mhm.
But it also means that he has not had much time to hone this particular craft of public speaking in a large crowd.
Right.
I saw the comment from AJ who
Yeah, I
mentioned
was gonna
he
say I
looks
loved
exhausted.
she said.
He, yeah, he looks exhausted. It was a long night, and we will see that from the opposition as well. Let's continue.
Millions of our fellow citizens preferred a different outcome. And my message to every Canadian is this: no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you voted, I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home.
Roger?
Yeah, I thought that this was a great statement. He acknowledged the fact that not everybody may have voted for him, but he wants to bring Canada and bring a unified front when it comes to how he will represent the country. And I thought that was a way of taking anything, any negativity that may happen throughout the campaign and bring everybody back together.
It's a tradition in democracies to do this at the end of the election to come back together. So it is nice. It is very nice when we see that it happens for real. That we concede elections and we are gracious in our victory as well as in our defeat.
Yeah.
And we'll see that theme of unity come back at the end. Now, I'll click play again, but I want you to see where the eyes of Carney are pointing.
Mm-hmm.
And during our conversation, they showed me a thank you card that they'd received from a young girl called Ellie, who wrote, "Your kindness motivates me to use my kindness." That touching phrase captures what Canadians instinctively know: that virtue is like a muscle that grows with its exercise. We become just by doing just acts, brave by doing brave acts. When we are kind, kindness grows. When we seek unity, unity grows. When we are Canadian, Canada grows.
All right. So in this particular portion of it, and I see what AJ says here, reading the prompter. But what I also liked, and we'll see the difference in the two candidates, I noticed that he at least moved his eyes and scanned the room from side to side. Now, whether he obviously had a prompter there, I still felt there was that natural look to him when he was speaking.
Interesting. Now, he, and Rob also mentions he is reading the text on a screen. Let's look at it again.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, we'll see more clips of Carney in a few minutes. But the way that I saw it wasn't scanning as much as trying to look at the audience
Mm-hmm.
as much as he could, but always going back to his teleprompter. Now, what I found fascinating, and I see it only in this angle that we have here, but not the one that most people saw on TV. By the way, we could say thank you to the Canadian press for this video.
Mm-hmm.
You see on his left, you see the teleprompter right there. Yeah, there it is. But it might not have been plugged in or something because he was always looking at the teleprompter on his right. So
Mm-hmm.
just like we might be distracted by our own notes when they're on a paper on a lectern going down, He
Right.
was doing the same thing, but looking to the side. It's not as bad as having paper on a lectern, but for me, it was still
Right.
distracting, always looking that way.
I want to point this out. This is what we were talking about behind the scenes, and Rob pointed it out right here. Hello, Rob. That it came across more of a conversationalist than his counterpart did,
Mm,
and I noticed that as well when he was talking, and even some of the clips that we're going to probably put here,
yeah.
you're going to
So
see some of
we're gonna look at that when it comes to interruptions, but we should
it.
look at some of the content from Poilievre. Now, regarding content, we didn't look at it in detail. If you, please go watch the two speeches in full. Carney's speech was well structured in three parts. Actually, we're gonna see that clip later on when he describes what are the three Canadian values that he's going to touch on the script. So he's got those three values, and then he goes into details in each one. Poilievre's is less of a structured speech in that sense, but
Right.
the message comes across really well. Here is Poilievre
It's with
in defeat.
profound gratitude
Wait a minute.
that I stand before you today at the moment of this historic election. Because only in Canada could the story that Anna and I bring to the stage be possible. Adopted son of school teachers and a Venezuelan refugee. Stand on this stage in front of our proud country, offering ourselves up to serve for the future. After millions of people have shown up and marked their X, spoken their voice, and exercised their democratic rights. We could not be more proud, we could not be more grateful for the opportunity the Canadians have given us.
And there's the opening.
Yes.
Opening very.
Beautiful. How does that sound? I know that someone said here, Suzanne said that you're hearing a bit of a reverb from me.
I think it's better now. So
It's better now. I would say this. I think that with Pierre's, you got the human side right away from him. He talks about where he came from, where his wife came from, and knowing that they felt a part of this great nation. And he brought that human element right away in his speech.
That's right. So just like Carney spoke of his parents and siblings, and we're going to show that in a minute. Poilievre speaks of his wife, his parents. So it is personal from the beginning. Now there's a missed opportunity because further on in the speech we'll see that it's less personal.
Everywhere I went, hardworking people took precious time out of their day to tell me about their struggles, their pain, their fears, but also their hopes and dreams. Welders and waitresses, farmers and factory workers, seniors, small business owners, and single mothers, young Canadians and young families pleading for the chance to own a home. My message is one of hope. Change will take time, but we will fight for that change, and we will deliver that change, and we will never give up on fighting for the great Canadian promise that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything.
I need to pause here because this is a great sentence. Anywhere from anyone from anywhere can achieve anything. It's well calculated, correct?
Most definitely, most definitely.
And the
Good
next
choice
sentence,
of words.
the next sentence will be even more calculated, and it's this sort of message that he has also shared during the campaign. So it's not. I don't think he has to read this because it's always been in his speeches. But before we keep playing, there's. Did we notice here at the close to the end of Carney's speech, he shared a little anecdote of when he was in Gander and he got a note. Your kindness encourages me. So very personal. Whereas here, this is the missed opportunity I mentioned to make it more personal. He mentions this person, and people there, and while it touches everyone, it touches no one.
Right, and this is what we speak about when we talk about the way you deliver a speech to an audience? How do you come back and connect with them with a personal story that allows them to see that what you're saying has actually influenced yourself in some way, shape, or form?
Right. So let's go to the end and see the very end sentence, how much of a picture he paints.
Change. And we will never give up on fighting for the great Canadian promise that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful house on a safe street protected by our brave troops under our proud flag. Canada first, Canada always. Let's bring it home. Thank you very much, Canada. Merci beaucoup, Canada.
We talked about this in that I was really hoping you would have said, what was the first words? Canada first?
Right. Canada.
Canada first, Canada always. I was hoping you would have said Canada forever. Like, just really bring it home instead of just, he dropped the ball and didn't have the three.
Poilievre might have missed that opportunity, but Carney did not. I believe that the last words before he says the thank you from Carney is Canada forever. So we didn't see the very ending. We saw the conclusion of what I consider the conclusion of Carney's speech, but there were more words about unity later on. Carney's speech was longer. Yeah. Perhaps it was long also for 2 a.m. It could have been shorter. But we also want to see how did each speaker react to different interruptions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of them got more interruptions than the other.
Yes.
And it turns out that the one who got most interruptions was the one who is the least used to them. So let's see how, let's go with Pierre Poilievre first. Now, the interruptions that he gets are mostly just people who start chanting. So there's no single sentence coming in, which we will see with Carney. But see how he reacts and stays and just waits for it to pass. He wants to continue.
Thank you. It will be an honor to continue to fight for you and to be a champion of your cause as we go forward.
So this is something where some speakers, me included, myself included, are sometimes uncomfortable with sustained applause. What do we do? It's weird. Do I just stand here? Do I say something? Roger?
I was just going to say, this is where you and I are complete opposites, where I stand back and I will let the audience have that moment and enjoy it, right? Where you yourself would probably be uncomfortable and hoping to, okay, bring it down, let's go.
Stop.
Which is what Pierre sounded like. Pierre sounded like, okay, it's enough. Okay, let's move along. As opposed to how Mark handled it.
And we will see that in a minute. There were different interruptions. There was one last one with Poilievre here. Another interruption. Oh, and maybe a quick note on the smile. Now, nobody commented yet, I think, on how tired this guy looks. But this is not what Pierre Poilievre looked like during the campaign. So not only is it very late, but he lost his election. He did not get the results that he hoped and that were expected just a few weeks earlier. And he lost his own seat, as was mentioned in the comments. So not a super good night. There are positive gains for his party, but all in all, it's not what they were wishing for. So I can understand why the eyes are smaller than usual and looks a little humid there. So I was mentioning the smile because the smile sometimes looks like it's force. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really happy, but I want to put on a happy face.
So I would like to congratulate
Let's
Prime Minister.
There. So here's.
let's move on to the other one because we're already running out of time right now.
All right.
So let's show the other clip.
I'll just mention that when the audience started to boo when he mentioned Prime Minister Carney, he brought them down. So he said, no, let's work together.
Yeah.
All right. So now we'll go to interruptions with Carney. So this is fun because they are different, and each one he reacts differently, and each one he either looks natural or uneasy. Let me know what you think.
I love you. Right back. Right back. These are good values. These are Canadian values. Values that I will do my best. I'm just getting worked up here. These are values that I will do my best to uphold every day as your Prime Minister. You betcha.
So people are screaming towards Carney, and he's trying to look natural, but also I've been there. You know, when we don't have a lot of experience, and suddenly something happens. What do you do? Especially when you've got your script and you're like, I want to go back to my text. This is, I need this here.
I'm going to say it like this really quickly. And AJ says something here that is very interesting. Yes, it's tough to keep your head up after a loss. You see the difference, obviously, when one loses versus when one wins. He could be more relaxed because he won. But the point that I'm making is, just like speakers, if there is a moment when you can interact with the audience because you've seen something that wasn't expected, and this is what I liked about what he did there, is that, yes, there were a few that he could, a little too many times where people interrupted him. But I also enjoyed the fact that he took time to acknowledge that it happened and just say something or laugh with someone who said something. So that shows, just like as in speaking, that when you're on stage doing a keynote speech and someone laughs that you weren't expecting, or you have a moment with one of the audience members, you take that instead of just sticking to the script, right? That's
Right.
what I like.
Well, we will see. There are multiple interruptions, and I would tell you, Roger, that at least twice there was not that sort of acknowledgement. He acknowledges in one way, like he at least he hears it, but he doesn't address it. So let's watch this here. There'll be a few of them in succession.
Okay, well, you have to judge after this next section, because I am going to begin with the value of humility, and by admitting that I have much to be humble about. It's true. Over my long, that's not an applause line, it's just a statement of fact.
Funny, right?
Yeah.
Now, for me, it would be much better if it wasn't so scripted, or if he knew his speech better, that it sounded more natural. Because he's addressing that right now. It's funny in the moment, but then he immediately goes back to his text, which is much drier.
Mm-hmm.
My long career, throughout, we're building now. We've gotten over that bit. Throughout our history, there have been turning points. Throughout our history, there have been turning points when the world's fortunes were in the balance. That was the case at the start of the Second World War, just as it was at the end of the Cold War. We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons.
But you're going to take us forward.
We have.
I think that was an example. Someone says something and he's
Right.
Just
Right.
let me finish my thought.
Yeah.
There might have
there
been
is
wine at
moments.
that party.
I was going to say there are moments when, yes, you're right in that he looked very uncomfortable when things happened, and he had to constantly be going back to his script. Now, here's something that I would say simply in this moment. Sometimes you might have to go a little off script to get into your script.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Like sometimes when something like that happens and you know that the next line on your script is not going to exactly match the energy of what was just happening, maybe you have to add something like an audible to get you into that part. And when they are constantly thinking about the script, that's when you see the difference there on how it's sent out into the audience.
Right.
To look out for ourselves. We will need to think big and act bigger. Your phone's ringing. Sorry, just okay. All right. Just hang on. It's okay? Yeah. That might be important. I don't know. We will need to do things previously thought impossible.
So, phone ringing, that's a classic, but it's even better that it was right beside him. Roger, what would you have done in that situation? A phone rings right behind you. I know you would address it, but how would you go back into the script that is so serious?
Oh, well, first of all, same way, I'd say, oh, your phone is ringing. I've done it before. I even talk about this in workshops, right? I'd say, your phone is ringing. They're probably wanting to congratulate me as well. Thank you. Let me get that. And then I'll have some fun with them. And I say, but aside from that happening, we've got to remember what's the real important issues here and get into it,
right?
Whatever
and
it may be.
You might reiterate or repeat or return to the previous sentence when you were interrupted, so that it flows more smoothly.
Yeah.
Roger, if this was a speech contest between Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre, just thinking as speakers, just for that speech, not in their whole careers, just those two speeches, if it's a speech contest, not thinking about the ideas, if it's a speech contest, who wins the contest?
Pierre wins it. It was much
because
more
of delivery?
polished. Yeah, much more polished, smooth delivery. I thought that he had more connection in more ways than Mark did. Again, if we're looking at it purely from just the speech, just looking at how they delivered a speech and the content, it would have to be Pierre. And our good friend and top 3 winner at the World Championship Public Speaking, Mariam Ghani, agrees.
Now, I agree as well. Or who is the best speaker, the most effective speaker? Pierre Poilievre, and I think his message was clearer than Mark Carney. Maybe because of the length of the speech from Carney, and that there were 3 points and then the main message. That's the sort of speech that works really well when it's 30 to 40 minutes and when people are well rested. But for a victory speech, please make it shorter. Now, with that said, last week, do you remember what we talked about? An old dog you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
Tricks, yes.
Now, this is not just for dogs, it's for humans as well. We learned, we can still learn new tricks. Do you think, Roger, that our Prime Minister would be able to learn to be a more effective public speaker?
Oh, most definitely. He just has to have the right people around him to help him with regards to putting his speeches together and how he delivers it. You can have moments where you have interruptions or you have interactions with your audience, but he's got to be able to come back in a smoother way.
Right. So Roger and I will be in contact with the Prime Minister's office to offer our services. Roger, I had fun doing this with you. We did something similar when it came to the American elections last year, and so let's do it. Let's make this a tradition every time that there are some elections. All right, Roger? Any last words?
Tradition! Gotta have some fun. No, but last words is listen. At the end of the day, we all can learn how to effectively communicate, whether you are in politics or doing your speech on a Monday night at your Toastmasters meeting or wherever you are in the business world. Learning how to communicate is important, and we can see it that even on the highest levels, sometimes they can also improve. What about yourself?
Totally agreed. And, whether it's in politics or anywhere else, but maybe especially with politics, we know that the liberals and the conservatives and the other parties in the parliament don't agree most of the time. But Roger, you don't have to agree. Wait, I'm not getting this right. Roger, whether you agree or disagree, whether it's here or in the parliament, you can always find great convos.
That's right. He did it. Take care, everyone.
See you later.